The first time Arwyn's mate rejected her, the sound that broke her wasn't his voice. It was the laughter. It echoed off marble pillars and crystal chandeliers, sharp as shattered glass. She had stood in borrowed silk, palms damp, heart glowing with the warm certainty of a fated bond. For one fragile heartbeat, she had believed she was chosen. Then her sister stepped forward. The warmth inside her chest went cold. The bond snapped as a thread pulled too tight. By sunset, Arwyn Silverhart was no one's mate. By morning, she was the court's quiet humiliation. 7 winters later, she moves through the palace in healer's gray, invisible and careful, tending wounds she understands far better than her own. She no longer believes in fairy tales, or destiny, or kings. But on the night the Alpha King seals the palace gates and says, "No one leaves," Arwyn realizes her story is not finished. And this time, the whole kingdom is watching. Chapter 1. The girl the court forgot. The palace has always smelled like winter. Cold stone, polished silver, smoke from hearths that never quite reach the corners. Arwyn Silverhart moved through the eastern corridor with her healer's satchel resting against her hip, the worn leather brushing her thigh in a familiar rhythm. Dawn light filtered through narrow windows, pale and thin, turning the frost along the glass into veins of white. Servants hurried past her carrying linens and trays, but no one truly looked at her. They rarely did. At 24, she had perfected the art of being unremarkable. Her gown was simple gray wool, practical and neat. Her hair was braided back to keep it from interfering with poultices and stitching. She kept her eyes lowered in halls filled with velvet and gold. Invisible was safer. Invisible did not invite laughter. A sharp burst of memory struck without warning, the echo of crystal goblets clinking, the rustle of silk skirts, and beneath it all, laughter. Her laughter. No, the court's laughter. 17 years old. Borrowed silk too tight at the ribs. Hands trembling as warmth bloomed in her chest like sunrise. The mate bond had awakened bright and certain, silver light flooding her veins. She had looked at him, at the man who was meant to choose her. He had looked back. Celine had stepped forward. Arwyn inhaled sharply in the present, the scent of rosemary and crushed mint from her satchel grounding her. It was years ago, she reminded herself. You survived it. But survival was not the same as healing. Lady Arwyn. She turned at the sound of her name. An elderly cook stood in the doorway of the kitchens, flour dusting her apron. The Duchess's youngest has a fever again, the woman said. You are needed. Arwyn nodded and followed without complaint. This was her place, in the background, cleaning wounds, cooling foreheads. Quietly useful. The kitchens were thick with a scent of baking bread and simmering broth. Steam curled toward the rafters. She washed her hands in a basin of cool water, the chill biting at her skin, and stepped into the smaller chamber where the child lay. The girl's skin was flushed. Sweat dampened her curls. Arwyn worked carefully, pressing a cloth to the girl's brow, whispering soft reassurances. Her touch was gentle, practiced. The girl relaxed beneath her hands, breath evening. Healing made sense. No one noticed. She could sense when magic was wrong, when fever was unnatural, when something beneath the surface twisted out of alignment. But no one praised that skill. It was not dazzling like Celine's beauty. It did not command attention like a warrior's strength. It was simply there. By midday, the palace buzzed with anticipation. The grand mating ceremony. Velvet banners unfurled along the great hall, deep crimson and midnight blue. Chandeliers were polished until they glittered like captured starlight. Noble wolves from distant territories arrived, in cloaks trimmed with fur, their scents thick in the air: pine, musk, leather, wine. Arwyn stood at the edge of the hall as the first notes of music rose, steady and ceremonial. Her pulse remained even. She told herself she felt nothing. Across the marble floor, couples formed lines beneath the vaulted ceiling. Courtiers whispered eagerly. Celine stood near the dais, radiant in silver silk, their mother's pendant gleaming at her throat, the small mirror catching candlelight in 1,000 fractured reflections. Arwyn avoided looking at her. She had learned that looking only reopened wounds. "This is not for you," she reminded herself. "It never is." Then someone turned toward her, a visiting beta from the Western Territories, broad-shouldered, dark-haired, eyes sharp with intelligence. His gaze found hers across the hall. The world tilted. Heat flooded her chest, sudden and overwhelming. Silver lightning shot through her veins, bright and unmistakable. The mate bond ignited so fiercely she nearly gasped aloud. Her heart stuttered. Her lungs forgot how to breathe. He felt it too. She saw the exact moment recognition struck him, his pupils dilating, his posture shifting toward her like iron drawn to a magnet. Hope bloomed. Reckless, bright, terrifying. "Not again," a voice whispered inside her. "Do not let yourself." But it was too late. Her wolf stirred, a soft whine of longing in her mind. The thread between them tightened, shimmering. He began to walk toward her. The hall seemed to narrow. The music dulled to a distant hum. Every step he took echoed like a drumbeat in her ribs. For one impossible heartbeat, she allowed herself to imagine something different. Not humiliation, not laughter. Chosen. Celine stepped into his path. It was a subtle movement, elegant and precise. Her fingers brushed the silver pendant at her throat. The tiny mirror caught candlelight, and for a fraction of a second, Arwyn felt something shift in the air. The warmth in her chest flickered, fractured. The beta faltered. His gaze, once locked on Arwyn, clouded. Confusion crossed his face, then it slid past her, as if she were no longer there. He knelt before Celine. "I claim you," he declared, voice ringing through the hall. The silver thread inside Arwyn snapped. Pain lanced through her chest, sharp and blinding. It felt as though something vital had been ripped free, leaving a hollow ache in its place. Silence held for a beat. Then laughter rippled outward. Soft at first, then louder. Arwyn stood perfectly still, every muscle locked. Heat climbed her throat. The scent of wine and perfume turned suffocating. Not again. Not in the same hall. Not in front of everyone. Celine smiled down at the kneeling beta, radiant and triumphant. Arwyn's hands trembled at her sides. She forced them still, forced a face blank, invisible, unremarkable. Across the throne dais, movement caught her eye. Alpha King Kael Draven rose to his feet. He had been crowned only weeks ago, yet the weight of command already rested easily on his broad shoulders. Dressed in black, trimmed with silver, he radiated quiet authority. His gaze was not on Celine. It was on her. Arwyn felt it like a physical touch. His nostrils flared slightly, as though scenting something in the air. His expression hardened, not with amusement, but with something far more dangerous. His wolf surged beneath his skin. She could see it in the tightening of his jaw, the way his fingers flexed against the carved arm of the throne. He stepped forward. The music faltered. "Seal the palace gates," he commanded. His voice cut through the hall like steel through silk. The musicians fell silent. Guards stiffened. For a breathless moment, no one moved. Then the iron doors at the far end of the hall groaned shut with a thunderous clang that echoed through marble and bone. Gasps erupted. Nobles turned in alarm. No one leaves. Arwyn's heart pounded, confusion warring with humiliation. Why would the king? Kael's gaze never left her. Not pity, not mockery. Recognition. And for the first time since she was 17 years old and drowning in laughter, someone powerful had noticed her pain. The realization unsettled her more than the rejection ever could. Because kings did not close gates for invisible girls. And whatever had just shifted inside this hall, it was not finished. Not by a long shot. Chapter 2. The King Who Does Not Look Away. The iron gate's thunder still echoed through the great hall when panic began to bloom. Whispers rose like smoke: treason, curse, omen, rebellion. Velvet sleeves brushed urgently against one another as nobles leaned close, their perfumes thick and cloying. Musicians lowered their instruments with trembling hands. Even the torches seemed to flicker uncertainly along the stone walls. Arwyn's ears rang. She kept her gaze lowered, forcing her breathing into slow, even draws, despite the hollow ache in her chest. The snapped mate bond still throbbed faintly beneath her ribs, a ghost pain that made her skin feel too tight. "Leave," she told herself, before they laugh again. She stepped backward, then sideways, melting toward the shadows near the eastern column. If she reached the servants' passage, she could disappear into the familiar maze of corridors. She could wrap her humiliation in silence and tend to something simple and practical. "Lady Arwyn." The king's voice did not need to rise. It carried anyway. Her steps faltered. "Remain." Heat flooded her face as dozens of heads turned. The marble floor felt treacherously slick beneath her slippers. For a heartbeat, she considered pretending not to hear. But she had been invisible for too long to mistake this summons. Slowly, she turned. Kael Draven descended from the dais with measured precision. Each step was deliberate, unhurried, the black velvet of his coat falling in clean lines over broad shoulders. Silver embroidery caught the torchlight like frost across midnight. Up close, he was overwhelming, tall enough that she had to tilt her chin to meet his gaze, strong enough that the air seemed to shift around him. His scent, pine, cold wind, and something darker, wrapped around her senses, sharp and grounding. His amber eyes were not cruel. They were intent. "You felt it," he said quietly when he stood before her. Not an accusation, recognition. The words struck harder than the laughter had. Arwyn swallowed. Her throat felt raw, as though she had screamed instead of standing silent. "Your Majesty," she replied, keeping her tone steady through sheer force of will. "I felt nothing beyond embarrassment. I assure you, whatever occurred was an illusion. A lie." Her wolf whimpered at the denial, but she ignored it. She would not stand before the entire court and beg for scraps of dignity. Kael's gaze did not waver. His nostrils flared slightly, a subtle shift only another wolf might notice. His eyes flicked once, briefly, toward Celine, who stood radiant beside the kneeling Beta, their hands entwined. The silver pendant at Celine's throat gleamed. Kael's jaw tightened. "The air is fouled," he murmured, almost to himself. Arwyn blinked. Fouled? He did not answer her immediately. Instead, he turned slowly, sweeping his gaze across the gathered nobles. "Blood magic is forbidden within these walls," he declared, voice resonant and cold. "If it has been used to manipulate a sacred bond, I will uncover it." The hall erupted into sharper whispers. Celine's smile faltered, just slightly. Arwyn's pulse stuttered. Blood magic. Her fingers curled into the fabric of her skirt. She remembered the flicker of the mirror, the fracture of warmth. "No such magic has been cast," Celine said smoothly, inclining her head. "Surely the king does not suspect his honored guests of corruption." Kael did not look at her. "I suspect," he replied evenly, "that nature does not err. When it appears to be, there is reason." His gaze returned to Arwyn. Something in her chest twisted, fear and something dangerously close to hope. "I will speak with you further," he said to her alone. "Not if. Will." The dismissal that followed was orderly but tense. The Krards took positions near the sealed gates. Nobles dispersed in restless clusters, their laughter gone, replaced by wary glances. Arwyn escaped the hall only when protocol allowed it. The corridors beyond felt cooler, quieter. Her heartbeat finally slowed from its frantic pace, though it still thudded heavily in her ears. Why would he interfere? She wondered. Kings did not concern themselves with wounded pride. Unless it was not pride that concerned him. The herb garden lay bathed in moonlight when she stepped outside later that evening. Silver leaves shimmered under the pale glow. Lavender and sage released their fragrance into the night air, calming and familiar. She knelt beside a patch of wolfsbane, fingers brushing the delicate petals. The scent was sharp, almost metallic. "You come here to think." She did not startle this time. Kael stood at the edge of the garden path, hands clasped behind his back. Without the crowd, without the throne, he seemed somehow larger, less constrained. "Your Majesty," she said softly, rising. He approached slowly, stopping at a respectful distance away, far enough that their sleeves did not brush, close enough that she could feel the heat of him even in the cool night air. He did not reach for her. He did not look. He simply stood. "I do not believe what happened tonight was natural," he said, "and I do not tolerate injustice in my court." The words struck her harder than the bond snapping. Justice. No one had ever used that word in her defense. A tremor passed through her hands before she clasped them together. "There was no injustice," she insisted quietly. "Only preference." His gaze sharpened. "Do you truly believe that?" The question lodged beneath her ribs. For a heartbeat, she almost told him the truth. About the mirror. About the shift in the air. About the way warmth had been ripped from her chest. Instead, she straightened her spine. "It does not matter what I believe. It matters to me." The words fell into the garden like a stone into still water. She looked up then, fully met his eyes, and something inside her quivered. Not fear. Not entirely. He was not mocking her. Not pitying her. He was studying her as though she were a puzzle worth solving. That frightened her more than cruelty ever could. Fear coiled low in her stomach. Kings did not close gates and whisper of justice for broken girls. They did so when something far larger was at stake. And as the moonlight silvered the garden around them, Arwyn understood with a cold certainty. Whatever the king sensed tonight had nothing to do with her pride, and everything to do with her blood. Chapter 3. The Silver Beneath the Throne. The palace remained sealed. 3 days had passed since the gates ground shut, yet the air still felt tense, brittle, as though the entire kingdom were holding its breath. Guards lined the corridors with rigid vigilance. Nobles spoke in lowered voices. Servants moved quickly, eyes downcast, and Celine raged. Arwyn heard it, even from the healer's wing, her sister's sharp, ringing voice echoing through the marble halls as she demanded the gates be opened, demanded explanation, demanded the right to leave. Her fury traveled like a storm wind, loud and relentless. Arwyn kept her head bent over a mortar and pestle, grinding dried lavender into fine dust. Small, be small. But the knock at her door came before noon. "Lady Arwyn," a guard announced, bowing stiffly. "His Majesty requests your presence in the throne chamber." Her stomach dropped. The throne chamber. Not the healer's wing. Not the council room. The heart of the palace. She wiped her hands on linen and followed. The throne chamber stood quiet when she entered, stripped of ceremony and music. Sunlight filtered through tall, stained glass windows, casting fractured colors across the stone floor. At the far end, the throne rose on its dais, carved from ancient, silver-veined stone, wolf heads sculpted into its arms, fangs bared in eternal vigilance. Kael stood beside it, sleeves rolled back, a heavy tome resting open on a narrow table. He looked up when she approached. "You came." She inclined her head. "You requested it, Your Majesty." His gaze flicked to the guards. "Leave us." The doors shut with a low, echoing thud. The silence pressed in. Kael stepped aside, gesturing toward the throne. "Something is wrong with it." She felt it before she reached it. A taste coated her tongue, metallic, bitter, like biting down on iron. The scent beneath the incense and polished stone felt warped, faintly acrid. Corruption. Her pulse quickened. She had felt it before, years ago, when an herbal tincture meant for healing had been subtly poisoned by a rival apothecary. That same faint distortion in the air. She climbed the dais slowly. The throne loomed larger up close. The carved wolf faces seemed almost alive, their eyes hollow and watchful. "Do not be afraid," Kael said quietly behind her. She almost laughed at that. She extended her hand. The moment her fingers brushed the carved armrest, something answered. A pulse. Not imagined, not faint. Alive. It vibrated through her bones, up her arm, settling somewhere deep in her chest. Silver light flickered behind her closed eyelids. The sensation was not malevolent, but it was powerful. She gasped and recoiled, stumbling back. Kael moved instantly, strong hands catching her elbows before she fell. His grip was firm but careful, as though she were something breakable. "You can feel it," he said, voice low. She swallowed, breath coming unevenly. "It is not merely stone." "No," he agreed. "It is not." His hands lingered a heartbeat too long before he released her. The absence of his touch felt abrupt. Arwyn forced herself to steady. "There is corruption here," she admitted quietly. "Subtle. Not enough to fracture the structure, but enough to bend. Kael's eyes sharpened. Bend what? Bond. Blood. Magic. She braced for disbelief, for dismissal. Instead, he nodded once, as though she had confirmed something he already suspected. "You sensed it the night of the ceremony," he said. "Yes." He did not question her, did not doubt her. The relief was disorienting. She glanced toward the open tome. Ancient parchment lay brittle beneath careful preservation, ink faded but legible. Wolves etched along the margins curled protectively around illuminated text. "What is this?" she asked. "The origin of the throne," he replied, "and the crown." She moved closer to read. "The silver wolf, bound beneath the seat of the king. A guardian spirit, older than the kingdom itself, tethered to royal bloodlines and strengthened through true mate bonds. If corrupted, it could twist into something destructive. If anchored properly, it shielded the realm from internal and external threats." Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. "This is not a mere relic," she whispered. "It is alive." "Yes." Their shoulders nearly brushed as they leaned over the text. Heat radiated from him, steady, contained. She became hyper-aware of the small space between them, the faint rustle of his coat when he shifted, the sound of his breathing. Her wolf stirred restlessly. "If the silver wolf is bound to mate bonds," she murmured, "then altering one could weaken it." Kael's jaw tightened. "And if someone redirected a bond intentionally? Then the spirit would feel the distortion." Silence stretched. Outside the chamber, raised voices echoed again, Celine's unmistakable tone demanding entry through the gates. "She attempts to leave daily," Kael said calmly. "The guards deny her." Arwyn exhaled slowly. She would not flee unless she feared exposure. He studied her profile, amber gaze unreadable. "You suspect her?" "I suspect the mirror." He did not question how she knew. Instead, he stepped closer to the throne and placed his palm against the carved wolf head. Nothing happened for him when Arwyn hesitantly laid her fingers beside his. Silver light flickered faintly again beneath the stone. Kael stilled. The spirit responded only to her. His gaze shifted from the throne to her. Not suspicion, recognition. "This is no longer about a redirected bond," he said softly. The weight of his words pressed against her ribs. "It is about the silver wolf," she whispered. "And prophecy." Her breath caught. She had heard rumors of prophecy her entire life, whispers that the Alpha King's true mate would either stabilize the ancient guardian or shatter the kingdom. She stepped back instinctively. "I am not royal," she said quickly. "My blood is weak, everyone knows." "Do they?" he interrupted. The question cut cleanly. Her pulse pounded. The metallic taste lingered on her tongue. Celine's shouting echoed faintly through the corridors again, fury sharpened by fear. Arwyn looked back at the throne, at the faint shimmer only she could feel. And for the first time since she was 17, she did not feel small. She felt seen. And that frightened her far more than humiliation ever had. Because if the silver wolf answered her touch, then she was not standing at the edge of someone else's story. She was standing at its center. Chapter 4. Stormlight Confessions. The storm arrived at dusk. Wind howled across the battlements, rattling stained glass windows hard enough to make them tremble in their iron frames. Snow struck the stone walls in violent bursts, frosting the outer courtyards white. The palace, so often cold in quiet ways, now felt besieged. Arwyn climbed the spiral staircase toward the king's private chambers, her healer's satchel tucked beneath her arm. Inside it rested a restorative draught, bitter bark and winterberry, brewed to ease exhaustion and steady the nerves. She told herself that was the only reason she had been summoned. The guard outside Kael's chamber nodded and stepped aside. She entered quietly. The room was lit only by the fire. Flames crackled in the hearth, casting molten gold across dark wood shelves lined with ancient texts. A single scroll lay unrolled across a heavy oak desk. The parchment's edges curled slightly with age. Kael stood beside it, without his crown, without the formal weight of court attire. He wore a simple black tunic, sleeves pushed to his forearms. His hair, unbound, fell slightly across his brow. He looked less like a king and more like a man carved from shadow and flame. "You requested the draft, Your Majesty," she said softly, crossing the room. He glanced up. The stormlight flickered in his amber eyes. "I did." She set the cup before him. The scent of crushed herbs rose into the warm air, mingling with smoke and pine. "You have not slept," she observed. A faint smile curved his mouth, brief, humorless. "You notice much?" "It is my duty to notice." He did not drink immediately. Instead, he stepped away from the desk, closer to the fire. Thunder cracked overhead. The sudden violence of the sound struck through her bones before she could brace for it. Her shoulders jerked instinctively, breath catching sharply in her throat. A hand closed around her elbow. Firm, steady, warm. Kael had moved without hesitation, anchoring her before she even realized she had swayed. His touch was careful, reverent almost. As though she were something precious, he feared bruising. Her pulse thundered louder than the storm. He seemed to realize the intimacy of the contact a heartbeat later, and released her at once, stepping back. "My apologies." "You startled me," she murmured. "Not the thunder." His brow lifted slightly. She looked away first. Silence thickened between them, heavy with things unsaid. He turned toward the desk again, gaze lingering on the unrolled scroll. "You have read of the Silver Wolf," he said. "Yes." His jaw tightened. "My former betrothed believed the prophecy could be controlled, that if she aligned herself perfectly with the throne's expectations, the vision would pass without consequence." The fire popped sharply. She died attempting to bind the spirit more tightly to the crown. The words landed softly, but their weight crushed. Arwyn felt the grief beneath them, raw despite the measured tone. "You loved her," she said carefully. His throat worked as he swallowed. "I believed I could keep her safe." The admission was quiet, honest. "She was not chosen by the spirit," he continued. "Yet she insisted on proving herself worthy." "And you blame yourself?" His gaze snapped to hers. "I was king," he said. "It was my duty to prevent it." The storm battered the windows again, as if punctuating the confession. For the first time, she did not see a ruler carved from steel. She saw a man who had lost someone, because fate demanded sacrifice. She stepped closer to the fire, warmth brushing her skin. "I am sorry," she said simply. He studied her as though expecting pity. She offered none. only understanding. You deserved better than what was done to you, he said suddenly. The words struck harder than thunder. Her lungs seized. No one... She stopped, throat tightening painfully. It was not wrongdoing. Public humiliation is wrongdoing, he replied, voice low. Redirecting a sacred bond is wrongdoing. Making you believe you're lesser for another's gain is wrongdoing. Heat burned behind her eyes. She forced herself not to blink. You speak as though you know this to be fact. I speak as one who has watched injustice too long. Her composure fractured. The memory of that first rejection rose unbidden. The laughter, Celine's hand resting lightly on the chosen man's shoulder, the mirror flashing faintly in candlelight. Her fingers trembled. Kael noticed. He did not step forward this time. He gave her space. You are not broken, he said quietly. Whatever your sister has led you to believe. Her sister. The word cut cleanly. She has always wanted what shines brightest, Arwyn said slowly. I thought perhaps I was simply not bright enough. Lightning split the sky, white hot against stained glass. Brightness is not always visible to the untrained eye, Kael replied. Sometimes it is silver beneath stone. Her breath hitched. The throne, the spirit, her touch. A knock sounded sharply at the chamber door. Kael's expression shifted instantly, public mask sliding into place. A guard entered, bowing low. Your Majesty, Lady Celine is in conference with Lords Brennan and Corvin in the East Gallery. At this hour? Kael's voice cooled. Yes, Your Majesty. The guard withdrew. Arwyn's stomach tightened. She gathers allies, she said quietly. Kael's gaze darkened. She gathers desperation. The storm howled louder, as though echoing the tension inside the palace walls. Arwyn looked toward the window, frost crawling across its surface like delicate veins. The silver mirror pendant had glowed faintly during the ceremony. She was certain of it now. This was not a rivalry. It was a strategy. Kael stepped closer, not touching but near enough that warmth radiated between them. My wolf has been restless since that night, he said quietly. He does not react to illusions. Her pulse skipped. And what does he react to? His gaze held hers, steady and unflinching. Truth. The word lingered in the charged air. Her wolf stirred in answer. Deep down, beneath fear and denial and years of self-doubt, something answered him. And though the man still held himself rigid against fate, the wolf, she sensed, had already chosen. The storm outside raged on, but inside the chamber, something far more dangerous was beginning to kindle. Chapter 5. The thread that refused to break. The archives beneath the throne room smelled of dust and cold iron. Arwyn descended the narrow stone steps behind Kael, her hands skimming the damp wall for balance. Torches flickered in iron brackets, their smoke clinging low to the ceiling. The deeper they went, the quieter the palace above seemed to become, muffled into distant echoes of boots and wind. Here, the air felt older, thicker, as though secrets had weight. Kael pushed open a heavy wooden door reinforced with silver bands. It groaned in protest before yielding. Inside, shelves carved directly into stone curved around the circular chamber, filled with scrolls bound in faded ribbon and tomes heavy enough to bruise. Few know of this place, Kael said quietly. Her breath fogged faintly in the chill. I begin to understand why. He moved toward a table at the chamber's center, where a cluster of older parchments lay sealed with wax, bearing the crest of a wolf beneath a crescent moon. The earliest records of the silver wolf, he said, breaking the seal. Arwyn stepped closer, close enough that her shoulder nearly brushed his arm. She told herself the heat blooming beneath her skin was only from the torches. He unrolled the parchment carefully. The script was elegant, but severe. Ink faded to a dusky gray. When the guardian blood awakens, the silver wolf shall rise, not in wrath, but in protection. Bound to the Alpha King through a sacred mate bond, she will anchor the spirit, or unleash it. Her pulse began to pound. Further down, another line caught her eye. If danger seeks her before her strength is known, the bond may be diverted to preserve the thread until the appointed hour. Diverted. Her laugh slipped out before she could stop it. Soft, sharp, bitter. Guardian blood? She murmured. You have seen the court, Your Majesty. I am tolerated at best, mocked at worst. She forced herself to meet his eyes. I was rejected at 17, she said, voice steady only because she refused to let it break. Before the entire hall, he felt the bond. I saw it in his face. And then Celine stepped forward. Her throat tightened. She held that silver mirror even then. The memories surged, vivid and merciless. Candlelight flashing against polished glass. Celine's hand was resting lightly on the man's shoulder, laughter cascading like falling crystal. She smiled at me, Arwyn whispered, as though she had won something. Her fingers curled into her palms. I believed it meant I was defective, that whatever lived in my blood was lesser. Silence answered her confession. Kael did not interrupt, did not attempt to soften the words. But anger burned visibly in him, not directed at her. His jaw flexed. His shoulders went rigid. You were not unwanted, he said at last, voice low and controlled. You were shielded. The words struck harder than any insult ever had. She stared at him. Shielded, she repeated faintly. If the prophecy is true, he continued, and someone sought to protect you until the spirit was ready, diverting the bond would preserve your life, preserve the kingdom. The idea felt impossible. Cruelty she understood. Protection disguised as rejection? That twisted her sense of reality until it tilted. I did not feel protected, she said. I know. His answer was immediate. That simple acknowledgement, no denial of her pain, unraveled something fragile inside her chest. You endured humiliation, he said quietly, but humiliation does not negate destiny. Her breath trembled. Destiny nearly destroyed your betrothed, she reminded him. His gaze darkened. Yes. Silence stretched heavy between them. Then, a tremor. The shelves rattled. Dust sifted down from the ceiling in thin streams. Arwyn's head snapped upward. Another tremor rippled through the chamber, stronger this time. The torches flared violently, their flames bending sideways as if pulled by invisible wind. She is using it again, Arwyn breathed. The mirror. Power surged through the stone beneath her feet, sharp and electric. The metallic taste flooded her mouth, overwhelming. Magic lashed outward like a whip. She stumbled as the ground shuddered violently, losing her footing on the uneven floor. Strong arms caught her. Kael pulled her against him before she could fall. One hand braced at her back, the other steady at her waist. Her palm flattened instinctively against his chest. His heart pounded beneath her hand, fast, powerful, real. The contact stole her breath. The air between them felt charged, humming like the moment before lightning strikes. He looked down at her, close enough that she could see the faint gold flecks in his eyes, close enough to feel the heat of his breath brushing her cheek. Her pulse thundered wildly. For one suspended heartbeat, the world narrowed to that single space between their mouths. He leaned closer, slowly, deliberately. Her breath caught, lips parting before she could stop herself. His wolf surged beneath his skin. She could feel it in the tension of his muscles, the way his grip tightened instinctively, as though to claim. And then, he stopped. His forehead hovered inches from hers. "When you are ready," he murmured. The restraint in his voice trembled. He released her gently, though his hands lingered a fraction longer than necessary. The loss of his warmth felt abrupt, stark. Magic roared again above them, distant but violent. Arwyn stepped back, breath uneven. If the prophecy tied her to the throne, if she was meant to anchor the silver wolf, then loving him was not merely dangerous. It was catastrophic. Because if she failed, she would not only break her own heart, she would break a kingdom. And she could not survive another public shattering. Above them, the palace groaned as magic flared once more. Kael's eyes hardened, shifting from man to king. "Stay behind me," he ordered. But as another tremor rippled through stone and bone, Arwyn understood something with cold certainty. The thread that bound her to this fate had never broken. It had only been hidden. And now, it was pulling tight. Chapter 6. The Kiss Beneath the Battlements. Dusk painted the palace in bruised shades of violet and fading gold. Arwyn kept her head lowered as she crossed the upper corridor, the long windows to her left glowing faintly with the last light of day. Below, the courtyard murmured with restless voices. Since the gates had been sealed, tension had settled over the kingdom like frost, thin, sharp, impossible to ignore. Her slippers whispered against stone. She should not have been alone, but she had needed air, needed distance from prophecy and relics, and the way Kael's voice had lingered in her thoughts since the archives. "When you are ready." The corridor curved ahead into shadow. The faint like later interest from effective everything from American crowns. A shift in the air brushed her senses first. Metal. Cold and sudden. She turned. A cloaked figure lunged from an alcove, blade flashing silver in the dying light. Her body reacted too slowly. Shock rooted her in place. The assassin's arm drew back, aiming for her throat. A roar split the corridor. It did not sound entirely human. Kael moved as something unleashed. One heartbeat, he was at the far end of the hall. The next thing was that he was between her and death. His eyes burned molten gold. Claws tore through the skin of his hands as bones shifted beneath velvet sleeves. The snap and grind of partial transformation, echoing sickeningly against stone. The scent of pine and something wild flooded the air as his wolf surged forward, overwhelming and furious. He hit the assassin with such force that the stone wall cracked. The blade clattered uselessly across the floor. The attacker tried to rise. Kael's hand closed around the man's throat, lifting him effortlessly, claws grazing skin just enough to promise devastation. Arwyn's breath came in ragged bursts. Her heart hammered so violently she thought it might split her ribs. She had never seen him like this, Not the king, not the grieving man, but the predator. Who sent you? Kael's voice rumbled low, thread with a growl that vibrated in the air itself. The assassin's eyes darted toward her. Fear, calculation, silence. Kael slammed him back against the stone once more, fury radiating in waves. Then, with visible effort, he forced his claws to retract. The shift receded slowly, skin knitting over bone, breath still ragged. Guards thundered down the corridor at last, too late. "Take him," Kael ordered, not looking away. They dragged the assassin off, iron clanking. Only then did Kael turn. He positioned himself instinctively between her and the retreating danger, shoulders squared, chest rising and falling hard. "No one touches what is mine," he growled. The words were not shouted. They were instinct, raw and unfiltered. They struck her harder than the attack itself. Heat flared beneath her skin. Shock gave way to something far more terrifying. She was not an object. He had not meant ownership. He had meant protection. But the possessiveness in his tone wrapped around her like fire. "Are you hurt?" he demanded, eyes scanning her face, her neck, her hands. She shook her head, though her fingers trembled violently. No." He did not touch her, though she could see the restraint in every line of him. Whispers had already begun below. Rebellion. Treason. Accusations slither through corridors like smoke. Celine would deny involvement. Of that, Arwyn had no doubt. The full moon was only days away, the night of coronation, when the silver wolf spirit would either settle peacefully or awaken in wrath. If chaos erupted now, the kingdom would fracture, all because of her. Later, when the palace had quieted into brittle silence, Arwyn found herself climbing the narrow steps to the battlements. Wind tore at her cloak the moment she stepped into the open air. Snow swirled across stone, biting at her cheeks. Torches flickered below like distant stars. Kael stood near the edge, looking out across the darkened kingdom. He did not turn when she approached. "You should be resting," he said quietly. "I should be invisible," she replied. That made him look at her. She stopped several paces away, folding her arms against the cold. "You risk civil war for my sake," she said. "The nobles already whisper that you are compromised." His gaze did not waver. "I would risk far more." The certainty in his voice made her chest tighten painfully. "You cannot," she insisted. "You are king." "And you think that excludes me from choosing?" he asked softly. The wind whipped her hair across her face, blinding her for a moment. He stepped forward then, not invading, not crowding, just close enough to brush the snow from her cheek with careful fingers. The touch was light, reverent. She did not retreat. Her breath caught instead. The world narrowed again to the space between them. He waited, always waiting. The patience undid her more than any demand could have. "I am afraid," she admitted, barely audible over the wind. "So am I," he said. That honesty cracked something open. She stepped forward. Just once. Just enough. His hand slid to the back of her neck, warm against cold skin, giving her every chance to move away. She did not. The kiss began softly, tentative, almost questioning. His lips brushed hers like something precious, fragile. The first contact sent a jolt through her veins. Silver light threading through her body, igniting nerves she had convinced herself were long dead. Her fingers curled in the front of his coat. He deepened the kiss slowly, never forcing, only following her response. Heat bloomed between them, despite the snow swirling around their boots. The mate bond surged back to life. Not the sharp lightning of before, but something steadier, stronger. A thread weaving itself deliberately through heart and bone. She felt it settle, claiming nothing, demanding nothing, simply aligning. Below them, deep within the palace stone, a pulse answered. Faint, rhythmic. The throne. They both felt it. Kael broke the kiss first, forehead resting briefly against hers. The prophecy is waking, he murmured. She swallowed, breath uneven. Yes. The silver wolf spirit was no longer dormant. It was breathing, and so was the bond between them. For better, or for ruin. Chapter 7. Cracks in the Crown. Morning light spills pale and merciless through the towering windows of the throne hall. It is the day before the full moon. The court gathers early, tension coiled tight as drawn wire. Velvet gowns whisper against stone. Noble wolves stand in rigid clusters, scents sharp with suspicion, spice, musk, unease. Arwyn feels it before anyone speaks. The shift, the turning. Celine stands at the center of the hall, silver pendant gleaming against her throat like a captured star. "My king," she says, voice smooth and carrying. "We must address the danger festering in this court." Arwyn's stomach drops. She stands near the throne dais beside Kael, close enough to feel the steady heat of him at her shoulder, yet suddenly more exposed than ever before. Celine's gaze slices toward her. "Lady Arwyn claims guardian blood," she continues. "Claims a destiny tied to the throne itself. But what proof does she offer? Only whispers, only the manipulation of a grieving king." Murmurs ripple through the nobles. Arwyn's breath shortens. It feels like being 17 again. Silk biting into her palms. Laughter echoing. Eyes sliding away from her as if she were inconvenient. Her chest tightens painfully. Not again. Kael does not move away from her, but his jaw tightens. The prophecy hangs between them like a blade. If the silver wolf rejects her tomorrow night, if the spirit awakens in wrath, thousands could die. The court knows it. They taste that fear and turn it into doubt. "I will not allow baseless accusations," Kael says evenly. But the hesitation is subtle, measured, and Arwyn sees it. He must consider the kingdom first. He must. Celine's lips curve faintly. "Then let the seers speak. Let them confirm whether this healer carries royal guardian blood, or whether she endangers us all." The word healer is spoken like an insult. Old prejudice stirs, whispers of weak blood, of diluted lines. Kael's gaze flicks toward Arwyn, steady, searching. Then he steps back. "I will consult the seers," he announces. "Until then, no further claims will be made." The words are reasonable, responsible, necessary. They still feel like ice sliding beneath her skin. He descends from the dais without another word, black velvet trailing behind him. The space beside her empties, and the court begins to look at her differently. Doubt spreads like rot. Arwyn keeps her spine straight, keeps her chin lifted, but the weight of humiliation presses against her ribs until breathing hurts. "You were foolish to believe it," her fear whispers. "Kings choose kingdoms. not broken girls. She leaves before the whispers grow teeth. The corridor outside the throne hall is cool and dim, torches flickering weakly against stone. She barely makes it halfway down before Celine's voice slices through the silence. Running again? Arwyn stops, does not turn immediately. Celine approaches slowly, skirts whispering across the floor. Up close, her beauty is almost blinding. Golden hair, flawless skin, eyes sharp with something far less lovely. You truly thought he would choose you? Celine asks softly. Arwyn finally faces her. I did not ask him to. No, Celine agrees. You never ask. That has always been your charm. There is no court here, no audience, only sisters and the years between them. You diverted them, Arwyn says quietly. The bonds. Celine's expression flickers, then hardens. You were never weak, she hisses. You were too powerful. The words strike harder than any slap. What? Our mother knew. The guardian blood grows strongest in the second daughter, in you. Celine steps closer, fury barely contained. If your bond formed unchecked, the silver wolf would awaken before its time, before the throne was stable, before the kingdom was ready. So you humiliated me? Arwyn's voice shakes despite her effort. Twice? I protected the realm. By breaking me? Celine's jaw tightens. You would not have survived the weight of it then. The truth fractures Arwyn's understanding of her entire life. Every rejection, every laugh, every night she lay awake believing she was unworthy. Engineered. Not because she was defective, because she was dangerous. Her knees feel weak. You stole my choices, she whispers. I saved you from a fate you could not control. Before Arwyn can respond, before she can demand more, Celine turns sharply. And now you endanger us all, she says, because you let yourself believe you could have him. Celine strides away, fury in every step. A sick certainty grips Arwyn's stomach. She follows. Too late. By the time they reach the throne chamber, the doors are already thrown wide. Guards shout. Nobles spill in behind them. Celine stands before the ancient throne, the silver mirror pendant blazing white-hot in her hand. Enough deception, Celine cries. Celine, stop! Arwyn lunges forward. The mirror shatters against the carved stone of the throne. The explosion of magic is violent. Light erupts in a blinding surge, slamming into walls, tearing tapestries free, shattering stained glass into a rain of glittering shards. The air fills with the metallic taste of power gone wild. Arwyn is thrown backward. Her back hits a stone. Breath tears from her lungs. Beneath the crown, something ancient roars. Not sound, not entirely. A vibration that rattles bone and marrow. The throne pulses, silver light flooding the chamber in frantic waves. Nobles scream. Guards scramble. Kael bursts through the doors, just as the floor cracks beneath the throne. His eyes lock on Arwyn across the chaos. Fear flashes there. Not for the crown, not for the kingdom, for her. The silver wolf spirit surges upward in a column of blinding light, its presence immense and furious, shaking centuries of stone. The court falls to its knees, and panic spreads like wildfire through the crown. Chapter 8. The Spirit of Silver Flame. The throne room trembles like a living thing in pain. Silver light coils upward from the cracked crown, twisting through the air in violent spirals. Stained glass windows explode outward in showers of crimson and sapphire shards. Nobles scream, scrambling over one another in their desperation to escape. The scent of fear thickens the air, sharp, acidic, suffocating. At the center of it all stands Kael. He does not hesitate. Bone cracks, muscle tears. The sound of shifting rips through the chaos as his body expands, reforms. Black velvet shreds. A massive silver-black wolf lands where the king once stood, paws splintering marble. His fur bristles, eyes blazing molten gold as he positions himself between the writhing spirit and the fleeing court. A snarl rumbles from his chest, deep, warning. The spectral light pauses. It does not lunge for him. It turns toward her. Arwyn's breath stutters. The silver wolf rises higher, its shape coalescing from light and ancient fury, vast and luminous, eyes like twin stars burning with impossible awareness. It circles her slowly, flames of silver licking the air without heat, without smoke. Testing. Judging. Her heart hammers so violently she feels it in her throat. This is wrong. I am wrong. Power hums beneath her skin, crawling along her veins like lightning seeking ground. The air tastes metallic, sharp on her tongue. Every instinct screams at her to run. If she anchors the spirit incorrectly, if she fails, the kingdom will shatter. Thousands will die because of her. Kael's massive form shifts, trying to move closer, but the spirit flares brighter in warning. He stops immediately, though his growl deepens, vibrating through stone. He would challenge a god for her, but he will not risk making this worse. Arwyn's vision blurs. She cannot breathe. The throne pulses again, cracks spidering farther across the floor. I was never meant for this, her fear insists. The mirror delayed it because I was never meant to survive it. The spirit lowers its massive head, luminous gaze piercing through her. Waiting. Not attacking. Waiting. The realization terrifies her more than violence would have. This is not rage. It is an expectation. And she cannot bear it. With a broken sound trapped somewhere between sob and gasp, Arwyn turns and runs. Her slippers slip on fractured stone as she flees the throne hall, silver light chasing her like a living storm. Courtiers flatten against the walls as she passes, terror in their eyes. Not of her, of what follows her. She does not look back. Down corridors she has walked her entire life, past tapestries she once dusted as an overlooked healer, through archways that once framed her humiliation. The palace shakes with each pulse of power. Behind her, paws thunder against stone. Kael follows. Not close enough to interfere. Close enough to guard. She reaches the chapel at the palace's eastern wing, the smallest and oldest sanctuary, built long before the throne. She shoves the heavy oak doors open and stumbles inside. Silence meets her. Thick. Sacred. Candles flicker along stone walls, their flames trembling, but unextinguished. The scent of wax and incense fills her lungs, grounding and familiar. She collapses before the altar. Cold stone bites into her knees. Her hands press flat against the floor as tears spill freely, blurring candlelight into streaks of gold. I cannot do this, she whispers hoarsely. I am not strong enough. The chapel doors groan shut behind her. The spirit enters without touching them. Silver fire coils through the vaulted ceiling, illuminating ancient carvings of wolves and guardians long forgotten. It does not roar. It does not rage. It waits. Arwyn curls inward, shoulders shaking. Memories flood her, laughter echoes in marble halls. Celine's satisfied smile. The hollow ache of believing herself defective. Then Kael's voice, low, steady. You were not unwanted. Her breath stutters. You were shielded. Shielded, not rejected, not broken. Protected. The mirror had not cursed her life. It had been delayed. Delayed this moment until she was no longer 17 and fragile beneath borrowed silk. Until she had learned how to stand despite humiliation. Until she understood pain without letting it define her. The spirit lowers again, vast head bowing slightly. Not in submission, in recognition. It has not come to destroy her. It has come to see whether she will choose. Outside the chapel, she senses Kael, his enormous wolf form pacing but refusing to cross the threshold. He trusts her, even now, even when the kingdom trembles. Fresh tears spill down her cheeks, but something beneath them steadies. Fear still trembles in her limbs, but beneath fear, something stronger rises. Choice. If she flees again, the spirit will remain unanchored. It will tear through stone and blood alike. If she stands, she may survive. She may not, but she will not run. Slowly, she pushes herself to her feet. Her knees shake. Her palms are scraped and stinging. Silver light gathers around her like wind before a storm. She lifts her chin. If I must be the storm, she whispers into the ancient silence, voice rough but unwavering. Then let me protect. The spirit flares brighter, not in fury, in approval. And somewhere beyond chapel walls, the full moon begins its ascent. Chapter 9. The Queen the Wolf Chose. The throne hall is barely recognizable. Marble pillars are split with jagged fractures. Tapestries burn with slow, smoking edges where silver fire has licked too close. Nobles crouch behind overturned benches, their fine silks streaked with soot and terror. Above them all, the silver wolf spirals in luminous fury, its massive form thrashing against the vaulted ceiling. At the center of the storm stands Kael. Blood streaks down his temple, stark against his skin. He is half-shifted, claws carved into stone, eyes molten gold, chest heaving as he forces his wolf to hold the spirit back. Every muscle in his body strains. He looks as though he is fighting a god. Arwyn steps into the hall. The air hums louder at her presence. Kael's head snaps toward her. For a heartbeat, pure terror flashes across his face. Not for himself, not for the throne, but for her. Arwyn! His voice is rough, torn between command and plea. Leave! She does not. The fear inside her is still there, trembling beneath her ribs like a fragile thing. But it no longer owns her. I choose this, she says, and her voice carries. It cuts through chaos like clear steel. The spirit pauses mid-lash. The court stills. She walks forward. Each step feels heavier than the last, as if the air thickens around her in resistance. Silver light coils closer, brushing her shoulders, her hair, her skin. It does not burn. It listens. Behind her, Kael forces his shift to reverse. Bone snaps. Muscle contracts. He drops to his knees as his body reforms, breathing ragged. He does not try to stop her again. He trusts her. The throne looms ahead, ancient, cracked, glowing faintly from within. The crown atop it trembles as though alive. She lifts her hand. For one suspended second, she remembers another night. Borrowed silk, laughter, hope shattering under the weight of public humiliation. Her palm presses against the carved arm of the throne. Power surges. It does not scorch. It sings. Silver floods her veins like light pouring into darkened halls. The metallic taste vanishes, replaced by something clean, like winter air after fresh snowfall. The spirit descends, vast and luminous, and wraps around her rather than against her. Recognition pulses between them. Not domination, harmony. The cracks in the marble floor stop spreading. The violent spirals soften into radiant arcs. Gasps ripple through the court as the silver wolf lowers its enormous head to Arwyn. Acknowledging, accepting. Behind her, she hears Celine's sharp intake of breath. The spirit's light pours downward, sinking into the throne, into the crown, into the very bones of the palace. The tremors cease. Silence falls, heavy, sacred. Kael rises slowly to his feet. Blood still streaks his brow, but his gaze never leaves her. He steps forward, before the entire court, before nobles who once laughed, before those who whispered weak blood and broken bond. He kneels, not as a king to a subject, as equal to equal. As Alpha King of the Northern Wolves, he says, voice steady and resonant, I declare Arwyn Silverhart my fated mate and my equal queen. A murmur swells. Shock. Reverence. Disbelief. The mate bond ignites between them like a star reborn. Silver threads blaze from her chest to his, visible even to mortal eyes. It is brighter than the false spark from the ceremony, brighter than any magic Celine twisted. True, unbreakable. Kael rises and takes her hand. I choose her, he says, not loudly, but with a certainty that shakes the hall more than any roar. The spirit settles fully beneath the crown, its presence now warm rather than wrathful. Protective, peaceful. Celine stumbles backward as the last remnants of the shattered mirror relic crumble into ash. Without its corruption, the subtle influence she once wielded evaporates. Nobles who had hovered near her retreat. Her power collapses like smoke. Arwyn turns to face her sister. For years, that gaze would have dropped. It does not now. You diverted every bond, Arwyn says quietly. Not an accusation, truth. Celine's silence is answer enough. A murmur spreads through the hall, realization dawning in waves. Every engineered rejection, every humiliation, every deception, exposed. No laughter rises this time, only understanding. Kael steps beside Arwyn and presses his forehead gently to hers. The contact is intimate, reverent. You were never broken, he whispers, voice meant only for her. But the hall hears it anyway. Her throat tightens. The old ache, the one carved by 17-year-old humiliation, loosens its grip at last. She is not the girl the court forgot. She is the woman the wolf chose. Kael turns toward the assembly, still holding her hand. Bow, he commands softly. And this time, the entire hall does. Chapter 10. A crown of quiet snow. Winter returns softly this time. Snow drapes the palace gardens in white silence, frosting the iron gates that once ground shut in chaos. The air smells of pine and clean cold, untouched by fear. Arwyn walks slowly along the stone path, her boots leaving careful impressions behind her. Her healer's satchel rests against her hip. She never set it down. Kael walks beside her, cloak sweeping behind him, presence steady as the mountains beyond the palace walls. He does not lead. He does not command. His hand rests lightly at the small of her back, warm even through layers of wool. In the courtyard beyond, packed children shriek with laughter, tumbling through snowdrifts, while wolves shift playfully among them. Silver and black fur flashes in winter light. No one flinches at the sight. The throne no longer trembles beneath the crown. It hums. Calm. Anchored. Arwyn pauses beside the frost-laced rose bushes, breath misting in the air. A year ago, winter meant humiliation and dread. Now, it tastes like peace. Kael steps closer, wrapping his heavy cloak around her shoulders without a word. The gesture is instinctive, protective, tender. His chin brushes her temple. "You grow quiet," he murmurs. She smiles faintly and guides his hand downward. It rests over her abdomen. There. A subtle warmth answers. Not magic. Life. His breath catches. She feels it against her hair. For a long moment, the powerful Alpha King, feared by rivals, revered by nobles, simply stares at her, as if she has placed the moon itself in his hands. This, his voice roughens. This was not written in any prophecy. "No," she whispers. "It was not." The silver wolf beneath the throne pulses gently in the distance, as if in approval. Not wrathful, not testing. Protecting. Kael lowers himself to one knee before her, not in ceremony, not for courtly show, but because the instinct to honor overwhelms him. He presses his forehead to the faint curve beneath his palm. "You were always meant to stand beside me," he says quietly, "not beneath me, not behind me. Besides." Her throat tightens. She remembers the laughter that once shattered her. The way marble halls amplified cruelty. The girl in borrowed silk who believed she was defective. Those halls echo differently now, with celebration, with children's voices, with music during festivals where she stands at Kael's side, not as shadow, not as tolerated healer, but as queen. Celine's name is no longer spoken in the court, except as a caution. Exiled beyond the northern borders, her magic stripped with the shattering of the mirror, she holds no power here. Arwyn does not feel triumphant over her, only closure. Snow begins to fall again, gentle flakes drifting around them, settling in Kael's dark hair. He rises, brushing one from her lashes with reverent fingers. "You are cold," he murmurs. "I am not," she replies softly. Because she is not. Warmth blooms beneath her ribs, steady and unafraid. The old fear of public breaking has no place here. If the court watches, they watch with loyalty. If the kingdom listens, it listens with trust. She takes his hand and leads him back toward the palace. For years, she believed hope was reckless, dangerous, a thing that invited humiliation. Now, hope walks beside her in the form of a king who chose her publicly. In the hum of a stabilized throne, in the life stirring quietly within her. The girl who was rejected beneath chandeliers stands crowned in silver fire, loved openly, chosen fiercely. And when laughter echoes through marble halls now, it is joyful, and it belongs to her.